And one of the big feature events of the night is next on the track. The women's 3,000 metres, featuring the appearance of Zola Budd. Her first track race outdoors since the Olympic Games 3,000 metres final in August 1984, which must be the most talked about race in the history of track and field. Certainly that incident in which Mary Decker fell when pursuing Zola must have been shown and re-shown, I think, more times than any other sporting incident. Well, millions of words have been written about this young girl, just 19, though still looking much younger. Some of them very angry words, even been the subject of questions in Parliament. But behind it all is a very shy, introvert character, and a girl who runs in an almost unique style, and despite the wet track tonight, still choosing to run barefooted. Zola Budd wearing number 1, and it's a position not only in the world which she would very much like to occupy, but before that, of course, she's got to become number 1 in her adopted country of Great Britain. And there was sad news today of the current number 1, that's Wendy Sly, who you may have seen on television recently pulling out of a Westminster road race. Well, unfortunately, she had to go into hospital for an operation. It turned out to be a muscle problem in her leg, and sadly, Wendy will not be running again this season. Obviously, Wendy, I'm sure, will be watching this race, has the best wishes of all of us in her efforts to recuperate, and we look forward to being back on the track soon. So the women's 3,000 metres underway then. 12 girls, but obviously, as far as the crowd is concerned, there's only one name in particular that they've really come to see. Although the early pacemaking being made by Nolene Mullen, the 21 years old Irish girl, and interestingly enough, Zola Budd not really getting involved in that leading group, which is something that we have come to expect of her. She is by nature a front runner, but there she is, a tiny figure, as quite a bit of bumping and boring is going on, buried away right at the back of the field. Susan Tooby of Cardiff, there she is, number 3 in the light blue top, is also by nature a front runner. And I think Zola and Susan will be keeping an eye on each other throughout this race. Though I must say, we didn't really expect them to be watching closely from the middle of the pack, although Zola, splashing through the pools of water barefooted there, has now moved up, following Tooby's move from the back, and as they come up to the completion of the first lap, they are in the more familiar positions. Number 1 then in the centre of the picture, Zola Budd. Number 3 on the inside is Susan Tooby. The long blonde hair of Jill Clark on the left-hand side of the picture. Time for that first lap, Peter?
71.6. That's fairly sedate pace, just inside 9 minutes.
And on the runway, Fatima Whitbread, the Olympic bronze medalist, in the second round of the competition. The leader at the moment, 62 metres and 62 centimetres, so Fatima will be anxious to better that. And that's a better throw. Yes, it's way out there, and there was a following wind, but it seemed as if the javelin landed correctly. The leader is Moira Vila of Cuba, and she's obviously pleased with that one. Just look at the way she leans back and wallops the javelin with her arm. That was a much better throw. And yes, it did land correctly.
So with 3 laps to go in the 3,000 metres, Fatima Whitbread with a throw of 71 metres 28 has taken the lead in that competition. So 2 of the big names that the crowd of some 10,000 here in Belfast at the Mary Peters track has come to see tonight, figuring very prominently in their individual events. Susan Tooby on the inside in the light blue top, Zola Budd on her outside. They've shared the lead right from the start of this race. Jill Clark in the yellow vest is in 3rd place with Darlene Beckford 4th.
The interesting question here, of course, is for Zola. It's her first track race since the Olympic Games, and it takes a while to get used to it. Conditions must be slightly slippery underfoot because of the rain. Susan Tooby's a gritty runner, and she's not going to let anybody get away with a cheap victory. But surely Zola, who likes to win and is not afraid of leading, is going to be thinking about taking it with 800 metres to go. She's got to get away from these girls because she is susceptible to a fast finish. And Darlene Beckford, the black girl in 3rd place, is a 4:04 1,500 metre runner. She's 2nd in the American Championships, and she's probably much quicker in the sprint than Zola is. So if I was Zola with 2 laps to go, I'd be thinking about going to the front.
Peter, what kind of pace are they on at the moment?
Well, they passed 2 laps to go in 6:40. They're in fact just outside 9-minute pace. The first kilometre just over 3 minutes, then 6:03 at 2 kilometres. So outside the sort of pace that Zola said she was looking for at around 8:50 before this race started.
And Susan Tooby has taken it on, and that's interesting. And Darlene Beckford, in fact, has come up and overtaken Zola Budd as well. Well, obviously, Zola, who's been back home at Bloemfontein in South Africa for a couple of months now, really since her World Cross Country victory, has maybe lacked the sharpness and obviously the race fitness and competitiveness that we've come to expect of her. And at the moment, one has to say, Zola looks to be struggling to stay with that burst that Susan Tooby has made, and only Beckford, the United States athlete, has gone with her. And Zola Budd, in fact, at the moment being challenged for 3rd place. But it's Susan Tooby with a personal best in this event of 8 minutes 57, drawing the way all the time, and only Beckford has gone with her. And Zola Budd has allowed a gap of 3 or 4 metres. It doesn't seem very much, but with only 400 metres to go, it could be a gap she cannot pull back.
Time at the bell, 7 minutes 51.9 for Susan Tooby.
Adrian.
Well, it has to be Darlene Beckford's race, I think, but Zola does seem to have galvanised herself into action. Beckford much the fastest finisher, but Zola's going to have to attack with 300 metres to go. Susan Tooby, who's slightly overstriding that ungainly arm action. Here's the crowd roaring. And I think this is where Susan gets passed by 2 of them.
Well, it'll be interesting to see
it early.
It'll be interesting to see what Zola Budd can do now, because it's a situation that she hasn't faced very often. Normally, Zola Budd leads, and very, very rarely has she had this situation where she's having to pursue the leader. And you can see that Beckford has the strength at this stage to really keep widening that gap between herself and Zola Budd. And now the interesting battle, as the American has the race surely in her pocket, is between Susan Tooby. Remember, Zola Budd has never been beaten in this country, but I don't think that record is going to be preserved. Obviously, it isn't. Beckford well away, but can she hold on to her record against other British athletes? She's going to do that. Beckford wins it, Zola Budd 2nd, and Susan Tooby comes in 3rd. The winner's time was 8 minutes 58. Well, as Zola offers an arm of congratulations to the winner, Beckford, she can't be that pleased, let's face it, with that performance. It was slower than the time she set herself. She didn't look particularly easy. She was, in fact, finished in over 9 minutes, Zola Budd. But remember, it is her first outdoor track appearance.